Hello everyone. Today I'm actually going to be showing you the polymoog 203A, the functionality of it. I'm not going to get real in depth because this could be a whole video in itself just explaining the sliders. But just to give you an overview of this, basically you have your fine tune and detune, which is also called beat on the polymoog, which is where this little light comes in because you can actually adjust your oscillators. That shows they're way out of phase from each other. It's basically looks at the phase using phase lock loops, phase lock loop circuitry, should I say. But anyways, what you have is you have your mix control here, which auxiliary, direct, mode, resonator, and voltage control filter, and then you have your octave balance, which is the loudness of each octave. You have a low octave, middle octave, and then high octave. And then you have a detune of your sawtooth waveform, which is really cool. This is something that's really neat. Then you have all your modulations for every waveform generated. And so basically you have your sawtooth waveform, your square wave waveform modulations independent. And then you can actually shape the square wave from like a pulse wave up to a square. So you can get some very nice variables there. And then you have your actual sawtooth loudness, so you can actually louden up the sawtooth if you want it to stand out more than the square wave. Then you have your loudness contour, which I have to tell you a fact here. Contour here is just a fancy word for envelope generator. That's all it is, because that's all this little section here is the envelope generator for your loudness, of course. And then you have your resonator, which is basically equalizers built in, which these are very handy tools on the polymoog. And then you have your voltage controlled filter, which is famous by Moog, and this has the true Moog filter in it. But anyways, back here to the front, this is where you can actually select your waveforms: sawtooth, square wave, and then your mixture. And so basically you have several things you can do. You can split the octaves, which basically where your low end you can make a square wave, your high end you can make a sawtooth or the mixture of the two, which I'm going to give you a good demonstration of all this. Then you have your ranks, which is basically your octaves for each section. You can make one a higher octave than the square wave, and you make the square wave a lower octave, so you can get some nice mixtures there of sound. And then the rest of this is just your variation preset, so when you actually go through your presets, this stuff changes and with that. But anyways, now I'm about to just kind of walk you through some of the sounds based off me playing with the controls, and we'll go from there. Anyways, hope you enjoy this video, and thanks very much for watching. Take care. Okay, first of all, I'm going to actually just be showing you the sawtooth waveform, and this is the sawtooth by itself and direct output, which is, like I said, the direct audio path without going through the filters and everything. So here we go. Here's just the sawtooth. And basis is fairly basic, but you can also shift your octaves like that. Then you have square wave, but you actually have independent setups for the low octave and high octave on this as well. So right now we got a square wave. You can shape that. As you can hear, and if you hear this, you change that. So you have one for your high and one for your low octave. Then you can also engage modulation to that, so it's actually changing the waveform. now you can actually combine the two. That's the sawtooth and the square wave together. You can shift the sawtooth up an octave. You can shift the square wave down. Like that. Then you can keep them at the same octave together. But then also we get into modulation, which is really interesting on this thing. So right now that's just your sawtooth. We can set one up for the square wave. Like so. Engage that. Now let's stack them. And then you can actually go over here and set up your envelope, which what we'll do, we'll set a slow attack, and the decay and release is on the same sliders, so we'll make it decay fairly slow and release fairly slow. So now you can do things like this. So it's a very interesting synth that has a lot of motion in between the phasing and modulations and things like that. But then also this is just touching the surface right now. This is just some basic things. We can actually shift our square wave down. I'll just kind of show you what this sounds like now. More, or we can take one modulation out. As you'll hear now, it's just a square wave with modulation. It's almost a Vox-Humana shape there between the modulations, and that's really what makes Vox-Humana what it is actually the frequencies kind of fighting each other between the modulations. So anyways, what we have now, that's just direct mode. We can actually turn that down and go to filter, and now we're actually in the Moog filter. So this is where it gets really cool too, because you have the envelope generator also for your filter, which is also called contour. But for instance, I'm going to set it up with a slow attack, slow decay time, and you get things like this. Exit fast. But then you also have a control here on your loudness controller, which actually sets up the thing to be equal to this, and then you have things like this. combine. That's just your voltage control filter. You also have a resonator section, like I said, which is the equalizer. Actually, we'll go back here. Your mids, and then your highs. We're in high pass filter right now. You actually have a low band and band pass and high band filter. So anyways, you're gonna have a mixture of things you can do. But then it also gets really cool too, because let me go back to voltage controlled filter for a minute. And this is the Moog filter. I actually have modulation for this as well. So a good example of sample and hold is actually on the Patrick Moraz song Kabbalah. The name of it, I believe, and he actually uses the polymoog throughout the song with sample and hold. So actually what you can do now, I'm actually going to go back to this waveform, kind of a sine wave waveform. You can actually mix the resonator and filters together to get things like this. So I can actually do like the intro that Herbie Hancock does on the demo video of the promo video back in 1970 of the polymoog. You got a lot of possibilities you can do with this thing, and you can also do a keyboard split where we split the filter on the low end, and now let's actually get sample and hold, and then we'll actually put the resonator on the higher octave. So now we have things like this. So now we got filter low end. We can also make the low octave a sawtooth, or a square wave, which will make a sawtooth. So now you got just a sawtooth down here. Then we'll put a square wave here. You have the phasing. I still need to calibrate some things on this unit, but calibrated a little bit, but as I've been restoring it, I've had to knock some things out of calibration. Because what we can actually do is go to a square wave. So anyways, that's some of the basic sounds and you can actually combine. We can have square wave down here. But then also something else I hadn't even talked about is this right here. So let me go back here, we'll turn off the filters and we'll go back to direct mode. You can actually get some piano-like. You can actually set it up to where you have and even when you're holding the key, I've got a sustain control. So even when I hit a key and hold it in, it'll actually fade out. As you can see. And you can also detune the sawtooth. Go back here, let's put some modulation on that. Now let's actually kind of set it up here now, where we're back into a kind of a but something else the polymoog can do is that's really cool is actually I need to go to preset 1 for this. Let's go here. Modulation actually controls to your keys, and as you'll hear when I hit a note, modulation comes in. When I release, the modulation actually dies and goes back to a non-modulation signal, which you can hear. Some very cool things. And also, for any of y'all out there that are big CS80 fans like I am, the Yamaha CS80, which was used by Vangelis a lot, you can actually get some pretty decent CS80 sounds out of this. Over here. I messed up, but anyway, some Vangelis for you. We can actually go into our own modulation. Crazy with it, you can also do some of the polymoog things. actually get even more crazy. Combine that with the close control filter. So anyways, as you can kind of hear, the polymoog is very versatile. It does a lot for its time. It was made in like 1976 is when the actual thing came out. So you know, in 1976 this was pretty big technology. You didn't get this much. And really this is one of the first polyphonic synthesizers. So it has a mixture. It's not I know most people kind of argue that it's not really a true synthesizer, and I have to agree with them, because it does use an organ-based circuitry, dividers, things like that. But the thing is that the polymoog each had a closely controlled amplifier for each key, so it really gives you some depth in the actual music. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video very entertaining. Take care.